Typography is all about spacing, using the right space at the right time. Just remove the margin bottom. That's so much better. So much more concise. Now it belongs together. When you have a website and you want to set your paragraphs right and you have a heading above it, I always recommend using a little less margin below the heading or less space below the heading and more space above the heading. Is this an H2? This is the big question. It doesn't seem to be. I would not know that I could continue reading it because I also wouldn't know that I could click the title. You could also use a curly apostrophe. Let me show it. It looks so much better. It's like kissing the O and the S. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Great examples you see today in this review call with Hugo, who has a blog and it's looking good, made a decent font choice, but there's missing a certain something. Now, if you have a website or a project what I should consider for taking a look at, send it to pimpmytype.com/review. Link is in the description below. And now let's continue with the review of Hugo's blog. So if we can take a look at it here right now and from the H1 and I just add a margin bottom of 0, you can see, bam, this is now more of one unit, one entity. And this already helps, but you can see this is still too close to the other elements. What I definitely appreciate and like is how you changed the contrast or the font color for the timestamp, so that it's a bit de-emphasized. I really like that. But let's just add some margin top on the H1 for the sake of this example as well. Maybe you would add it to the div of the post container, whatever. It depends on you, but you have to have some space there. And let's just make it a bit more so that you can really see it. And when this is now a bit too much, since here the spacing from these two is too much far apart. But you kind of get a feeling that these are several entities here. And when you take a look at the before, so here it's very blurry. It becomes very fuzzy. This more relates to the paragraph than to the actual timestamp below it. So close it here. And this makes it a bit easier to structure because people want to find out, what is it? Maybe 6 is too much, but let's do even just 3 or something, 3 rams or whatever. This also makes it more compact here in this case. Then there's the other thing, is this something where there's more? This is a bit bad. I would not know that I could continue reading it because I also wouldn't know that I could click the title. And there's not a read more link. I would just say, okay, this is some sort of a tweet kind of thing, whatever. Okay. Yeah. And so it would help if I would not necessarily change the color of the heading because it would be very striking, because you have a lot of headings that are highlighted there. Just make it a bit, add a read more, continue reading link or something like that. Yeah. What really works well is here your older posts link and the other stuff below. And I also enjoy that you add captions in a different way. What could be interesting though, let's just take a look, or let's dive inside your trip to Switzerland. And if we take a look here at this caption, we could let's just see how it would look. It's interesting. Here we have types.
I think the font family is wrong.
Yes, and there seems to be, because probably you have not provided the other one. Okay.
I think that's really interesting. I should test this in.
Let me see. The problem is, once you have something installed on your computer locally, and then you test it there. It might be, it might not work. And this was also something I suggested trying out. Newsreader, if you use Newsreader with the variable font and you have this optical sizing, it will definitely show up better there. So let's just pop this. Yeah, it's just an issue with the naming.
Okay.
So you have check the spelling again. And when you use it as a caption, don't use it as an italic. I think it's not necessary because you have sufficient contrast there. It's always about, do you want to introduce another style and have a reason for that? And if it's beneficial to use it in a different way, then use it in a different way. But in this case, since you already introduced us to this kind of marginalia or a date stamp or timestamp or whatever, I think it's best to keep it there. And let's just remove the margin bottom. That's so much better. So much more concise. Now it belongs together. So okay, yeah, and you intended it to look that way, so kudos to you. You made a great decision. If it was working, it would have been great. Yeah. Okay.
Follow that up.
That also works well. Yeah, this is much calmer now. Since oh, nice pictures. Cool. Okay, so I think this works much better. Now let's take a quick look into one blog post. So
I think, I'm just trying to find an example. I actually have like Marginalia set up in some posts. And I'd be really interested in your...
there we have it. Is it there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I like this a lot when people use Marginalia on that side. I think it's much easier than a stupid tooltip or something like that. I appreciate that. And you're using here Libre Franklin as well. It's working. So let's again switch here, remove the margin bottom here. Okay. And is this an H2? This is the big question. It doesn't seem to be.
Doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it. Yeah, there's too little contrast. We have, what do we have? 1.8 rams for the font size here, and okay, that's pixels. Why on earth? But okay, it's such a slight difference. 0.075 or whatever. Just for this example, if you would decrease it a bit, I think it would be even clearer. Or even though maybe this would also be appropriate, I think it's not that bad to have it in that size for the H2, but you could bump up the font size of your H1 here. Since this is now not that much, but since this is now the page where you have where you have guided your readers, and people can now take a look at it on this individual site, and now this is the overall theme of the site. It's not like the overview of the blog. On the overview, you should keep it at the same font size as it is right now, or at the H2 font size. And then for the article page, you could move it up. And when you use Newsreader with the variable fonts, you have a lot of design space as well. So you could make it maybe a bit more delicate, and it looks a bit dull in this size. Since it is intended for body text sizes, it looks a bit too rough. Yeah, this is just a small detail. Yeah, again, the margin bottom bugs me the most. I
guess like a lighter.
Yeah. Let's take a look again at the Pimp type Newsreader. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, it can be very contrasting and interesting for the title sizes here. And there I also point out the features when you have times, and here it's much more delicate, and this looks good times in display sizes. Here this is almost too fuzzy, but here it's sturdier for 20 pixels. And then for the caption, super tiny, it becomes really, really legible again. And I really like that here. And as you can see here, it's more delicate, it gets thicker, and it's very thick. It's always the same typeface, but it changes the appearance with this optical sizing. I'm too excited about optical sizing. I'm really too excited, since it's one of the best things Wearable Fonts gave to us. All right, and for your Marginalia, yeah, here again, when they try to use your margin bottom should be less than your margin top, or when a heading relates to a following paragraph, the space between the text that's following the heading should be less than the space above it, since this will definitely, of course, the flow of text is in this way, but it still makes the hierarchies clearer. When I say, let's just remove margin bottom here as a whole, and then see. Okay, and then we have the margin from the unordered list again, but that's not the. I wouldn't hassle with that a lot and just add it here then again for the margin top, just for the H2. Let's do it. Margin top, 1 rem, something like this. Okay, so that you get a feeling for that. And then it's also more one entity again. Okay, so your Marginalia, the thing I can say about that is, let me see, I like the highlight. I like that you used it. Since how does it work on mobile? This interests me now.
I think it's just tappable on mobile, but it's also not obvious that you can tap it. It's not underlined or anything. Oh no, it is. It is. I lied.
Yeah, you did this well. Yeah. Okay. You could once you what I would suggest here is on mobile that you would highlight it. Since you then, okay, something pops out, but then you really clearly see that you changed something. And this is really helpful when I'm here on your page and I'm hovering it. I can clearly see, okay, since you might have several Marginalia, I guess, and then you know what it relates to. And I think this is really helpful there. So just a slight hint for the reader. Okay, this is something you can do. You still could add this, maybe not necessarily since it's there anyway, but yeah. But basically, I really like how you used it. One thing you could even reduce is the line height here in this case. Since it's a very short text anyway, and the shorter the line, the lesser the line height can be. Since your eyes don't have to travel that far from the end of one line to the beginning of the next one, so this would also be then more compact, and you could really go as low as 1.3 or something. You don't want to hassle with an invisible grid there or inline grid. Yeah, you don't want it. Yeah, okay, so I think this would be helpful. And if you could move it up a bit, then it would even relate more to it. So this is an edge case, I guess, since it's starting on the second line. Yeah. And just, I'm sure this is just now about your writing style, but I would also encourage you to use maybe less line break or paragraphs to make it also a bit more compact, since now it's looking a bit scattered all across the place, and just since you can never separate content from typography as a whole. But just for this one, very, very quick look at it, and then we can wrap it up, I guess. So removing the paragraphs here, and let's see. Okay, and now when I compare it before after, always good. So, and here it's a bit scattered, and this is, I think this is more okay. This affected the line, had affected it as well here, so don't pay attention to that. Yeah, but I think here it's more focused, it's clearer, and I think it's easier for people to read. You could also skip your diamond shape there, since you have a hashtag, and this is clear enough to be something that it is a category or something like that. And You could also use a curly apostrophe, which would be very much appreciated. Let me show it. It looks so much better. It's like kissing the O and the S. Oh, gorgeous, gorgeous. And now your blog is something I would visit for the pictures, at least for Switzerland, but not so sure about table. Okay.
I think that's the I guess like website title I've also wondered about is like, does it make sense that small compared to say the H1 there, or I guess there's like a logo type thing.
Yeah, you try out Newsreader and what the capabilities it has. Maybe it brings you with a certain distinct style you only might use for the headings, and it is similar enough to the rest of the page since it's the same typeface, of course. And on the same design language. I would use it in this size since it's on top left anyway. So, and you will get that you're on it's in the page title. So I love your fav icon. Cool. That's really beautiful. I love it. It's playful. Cool. Hope that is helpful so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been really helpful. I really appreciate it.
What also is super interesting to me is that Hugo told me before our interview that he first used system fonts only, because why should he download all that baggage? But then he was interested and he found out more, and he used a new typeface, Newsreader. He found out that this typeface is much more interesting to his friends. He sent over some images with before system fonts and after with Newsreader, and people said, definitely pick that one, interests me much more. This is what typography can do with you and do for you. I really love to hear those stories. Always happy to find out more about your question and what bugs you about typography. Also, hit that red button that says in terribly spaced all caps letters, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.